Senate is about Nigeria and Nigerians. We must dare to ask and investigate why our national economy continues to rely solely on crude oil.
Senate President worries over the nation's overdependence on oil, calls for liberation.
This amendment is supposed to toughen the laws against drug trafficking or use.
And Senate passes NDLEA Amendment Bill, proposes death sentence for drug traffickers. Hello and welcome to another episode of Inside the Senate, a program that brings you reports on activities of the Senate Chamber of the National Assembly and its members. My name is Hadiza Bayero Aliu. In our lineup tonight, we shall bring you reports of bills and motions considered on the floor of the Senate last week. Among them is the passage of the NDLEA Act Amendment Bill by the Senate, proposing a death sentence as penalty for the drug traffickers in the country. There was also a motion seeking the full implementation of the Disabilities Act. These and more coming your way after the break. Please stay tuned.
Promote the unity, happiness, and prosperity of Nigeria.
The Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2023.
This act should be supported by all.
There are issues that we must use this opportunity to critically address.
We accord this motion the urgency and the necessity it requires.
I rise the second motion.
The ayes have it.
Thanks for staying tuned. On Thursday, 9th of May 2024, the Senate approved the death sentence as a penalty for drug traffickers in the country as it passed the NDLEA Act Amendment Bill after the third reading. The proposal was adopted when the Senate resolved into the Committee of the Whole for a clause-by-clause consideration of a report by the Committees on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, and Drugs and Narcotics on the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA Act Amendment Bill 2024.
It is also important to note that several variables are used in determining the penalties imposed on a suspect. This includes type and quantity of controlled substance, defendant's criminal history, intent behind drug-related activities, aggravating or mitigating circumstances such as organized crime, violence, use of offensive weapon, or endangerment of minors can aggravate penalties. Conversely, mitigating factors like cooperation with law enforcement or lack of prior criminal record may lessen the severity of punishment.
Earlier, Chief Whip of the Senate, Senator Ali Ndume, reacted to the report.
This amendment is supposed to toughen the laws against drug trafficking or use. Therefore, Section 11 of the proposed bill, Section 11, distinguished colleagues, go to that, was the original submission. It's supposed to be toughened in order to discourage the... So, I am surprised that the committee is recommending a softer punishment. It was a life imprisonment. In fact, we should change it to death sentence.
With that, Clause 11 of the report was amended to award a death sentence to drug traffickers rather than just a life sentence. Reverting back to plenary, the bill was read a third time and passed.
Third reading taken and passed.
Let's get more highlights from plenary proceedings for last week in our next report as compiled and presented in our studio. Keep watching.
Matter of urgent national attention.
In the week under review, Senator Anthony Ani from Ebonyi South Senatorial District moved a motion to announce the demise of former governor of Abia State and former chairman of the All Nigerian People's Party, ANPP, Ogbonnaya Onu, who died on the 11th of April 2024 after a brief illness. Prayers for the motion were for the Senate to observe a minute's silence in honor of the deceased, send a delegation to condole with the family of the deceased, government and people of Ebonyi State, and urge the federal government to immortalize the late Ogbonnaya Onu. After the tribute, the motion was voted on and adopted, and a minute's silence was observed in honor of the deceased.
Rest in peace.
May his soul rest in peace. The Senate additionally constituted a 7-man delegation to visit and offer condolences to the family of the deceased. The delegation, to be chaired by Senator Ashiru Oyelola, includes Senators Abomoro, Eyinaya Abaribe, Siriake Dixon, Anthony Ani, Iretiki Ngibe, and Idiat Oluronti.
Independently and access essential services.
Still on motions, Senator Osita Izunaso Bonaventure moved a motion on persons with disabilities in Nigeria and a call for full implementation of the Disabilities Act. The lawmaker noted that many buildings, public spaces, and transportation systems are not designed to accommodate individuals with disabilities, making it difficult for them to move around independently and access essential services.
This lack of accessibility not only limits their mobility, but also restrict their participation in various aspects of the society, including education, employment, and social activities.
Prayers for the motion were to direct the Disabilities Commission to post sign language interpreters to the National Assembly to interpret both the plenary proceedings and public hearings, set up a disability desk in the Senate to deal with all issues concerning persons with disabilities, create a standing committee for persons with disabilities, commend the 23 states that have domesticated Disabilities Prohibition Act 2018 and urge others to prioritize and expedite the full implementation of the Act in line with the International Human Rights Convention, including the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, and ensure disability mobility access in all Senate facilities and other government and private buildings, and call for the allocation of adequate budgetary resources and funding for programs, initiatives, and services aimed at addressing the needs and priorities of persons with disabilities, including but not limited to education, healthcare, vocational training, assistive technology, and accessibility infrastructure. The motion was voted on and adopted.
Just again say no. The ayes have it.
Moving on, some bills were also considered last week. Those considered for first reading include Renewable Energy Bill 2024, sponsored by Senator Barrow Jibrin, Federal Institute of Vision and Optical Research, NEMA Ogba Egbema Ndoni, Rivers State Establishment Bill 2024, sponsored by Senator Banigo Ipalibo Hari, Sickle Cell Anemia Prevention, Control and Management Bill 2024, sponsored by Senator Zam Titus Tatenga. Those considered for second reading are a bill for an act to amend the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria (ICAN) Act and for other matters connected therewith 2024, sponsored by Senator Olamilekan Adiola Solomon. A bill for an act to provide for the documentation and protection of domestic workers and employees and for other matters connected therewith 2024, sponsored by Senator Hussaini Babangida.
A legislative Hansard is the transcript of the daily legislative proceedings of a parliament, particularly within Britain and other Commonwealth countries. It is named after a British printer, Thomas Curzon Hansard, the first official printer of the British Parliament. In the Nigerian Senate, it is produced verbatim by the official reporters of the Senate, who are positioned in the chamber to monitor legislative proceedings. One of the basic advantages of the Hansard is that it helps in the recording of legislative documents as well as archiving. And because chamber proceedings are in most cases open to the public, the Hansard affords the lawmakers the opportunity to assess their past contributions on the floor with a view to improving upon them, amongst other things.
You are still watching Inside the Senate, bringing you highlights from proceedings of the Red Chamber of the National Assembly and its members. Senate President Godswill Akpabio has called for the liberation of Nigeria from its overdependence on oil. This was on Tuesday, 7th May 2024, at a 3-day investigative hearing on the need to review the nation's mining industry, organized by the Senate Committee on Solid Minerals Development. Among those present at the event were the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. NDLEA Act, other lawmakers and stakeholders. Senator Akpabio, while declaring the event open, advocated for the integration of Nigeria's abundant solid minerals into the nation's economy.
We must dare to ask and investigate why our national economy continues to rely solely on crude oil. Why can't we infuse our economy with the richness of our solid minerals that abound across the entire nation and liberate ourselves from the shackles of oil dependence and even liberate ourselves from insecurity caused by illegal mining? How can we transform our mono economy into a fully diversified economy? That's part of what concerns you. So you are here to make suggestions on how to improve Nigeria's IGR.
The Senate President lauded the efforts of the committee in coming up with an investigative hearing to address challenges in the nation's solid minerals sector.
The resolution of the Senate that led to this investigative hearing underscores the pivotal role that the mining industry could and should play in our quest for this economic diversification. We can no longer overlook the immense potential of the mining sector in this country. The mining sector should by now become a major cornerstone to enable the country earn foreign exchange, should even be a catalyst for social inclusion and empowerment of the populace.
Senator Akpabio further explained that foreign miners exploited Nigeria's solid minerals and left the country to continue facing insecurity.
As usual, just like fishing, more foreigners are earning from our mining sector than Nigerians. Instead, what they leave us with are stories of wars, tales of killings, tales of pursuit of owners of properties in order to enter and mine illegally, and the process compounding the security situation of our country.
In conclusion, Senator Akpabio urged the committee and stakeholders present to come up with solutions that will boost the nation's internally generated revenue, create employment, and attract more foreign investment into the country. Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. NDLEA Act, in his remark, expressed his support for diversification of the nation's economy.
We are compelled by global trends to now shift our focus on the solid mineral sector of this country, because we don't really have a choice if we are to be quite truthful and objective to ourselves. There is no other choice for us but to open up the sector and, of course, give it the needed life, inject life into that sector. Because there are so many other countries in the world that don't have oil, that have no options, but solely rely on their solid minerals, and they are thriving, and they are moving ahead, and they are developed more than us.
The minister added that the time for Nigeria to diversify its economy is now, and therefore solicited the support of the Senate for an increase in funding for the ministry to enhance its capacity to carry out detailed exploration of the nation's vast mineral deposits. Earlier, chairman of the committee, Senator Ekong Samson, in his remarks, stated that the 3-day investigative hearing is hinged on unraveling challenges hampering the development of the mining sector despite the vast mineral deposits across the country.
We must ask ourselves, are our mining policies and regulations aligned with global best practices? Are we maximizing the value of our resources, or are we merely exporting raw materials? Are our artisanal and small-scale miners receiving the support they need to grow and contribute to the formal economy? Are we adequately addressing developmental and social concerns in mining communities? There's also the need for us to have a comprehensive and reliable data on the sector. Through this comprehensive review, we aim to identify the bottlenecks and opportunities in the mining value chain. We are also to develop strategies to increase local content and value addition.
There were presentations by some stakeholders.
We can find ways of improving our mining to increase our GDP. One, by combating the illegal mining. Two, by a robust information sharing between the Nigeria Customs Service and the Ministry of Solid Minerals, so that our officers can be trained on how to detect various metals and labeling. Because if you don't know, the small pressures can come and they will label anything. And if you don't know, you can allow them once you have checked the permit and other things. So, but if you have the knowledge of differentiating between a groundnut oil and a palm oil, you will be able to say no. So, you know, this precious metal has so many technicalities. So, somebody can come with the wrong labeling at the airport. And once you have checked the documents and you feel it's okay, if you don't have that knowledge, you will allow him. Meanwhile, you are not going to give the Bureau of Statistics correct data because you didn't know.
We will implore the distinguished Senate and, of course, the National Assembly to always make sure that our state governments are well represented. We believe that as operators in the business, that there should be uniformity in the regulatory frameworks. The minister has enumerated some of the challenges we are facing, especially with this cacophony of voices in regulatory environment. We believe that until this is gotten right, it might still inhibit the growth of the sector. And of course, if you're having this kind of regulatory conditions, it may make all efforts, past, present, and future, to develop the sector in mirage.
We have a well-established laboratory where we also help the artisanal miner to do analysis of their minerals and then even do processing for them in our processing labs. So as well as we also do consultancy service and research. Our students are developing some mining equipment that can be used by our artisanal and of low, it will be cost effective. Right now, the institute are developing an equipment for processing gold, mercury-free gold.
In 2017, the ministry brought in 2.5 billion naira to assist the ASDs. Unfortunately, we were very sorry to say that of the 2.5 billion, only 497 million has been utilized for 7 beneficiaries. We believe that this has to be looked into, because the funds has grown from 2.5 billion to 3.9 billion. That fund is safely with us, but we believe that Nigerians should benefit from that fund. And what we are saying when it comes to that fund is that there must be collaboration between us, the owners of the funds, and in this case, the National Assembly. Because between us and the ministry, we've been trying our best. But we believe that those that are representing Nigerians, if they put hands into this, we may find very scientific ways of helping Nigerians that will benefit from these funds.
Chairman of the committee and some members also reacted to the presentations.
You need to, you need to get them properly informed to know that such intervention is in place, so that they can take advantage of your facilities.
Lots of people think that BOI is exclusively for a few. And that is why they are not finding it convenient to reach out to access such funds. And if that be the case, you will have to do more in sensitizing the mining society so that they can have access to such funds.
Greater percentage of the materials needed by members of the National Assembly or the legislature to perform their functions effectively for the good or betterment of the society are supposed to be coming from out there. So you have been on this as Bank of Industry, working with the ministry. The National Assembly may not really know what obtains between the two without you communicating to us here. So now that you have said this, which is it's revealing, and we will have to do what we need to do.
That was a highlight of the 3-day investigative hearing on the need to review the nation's mining industry, organized by the Senate Committee on Solid Minerals Development. We'll now round off the program with our profile segment. Stand by for our Senator of the Week.
Senator Daniel Justus Olubenga is the current senator representing Ogun East Senatorial District in the 10th Senate. He was born on the 6th of April 1956 in Ibadan, Oyo State. Senator Daniel attended the Baptist Boys High School, Abeokuta from 1969 to 1973 and graduated with flying colors. From there, he proceeded first to the School of Basic Studies at the Polytechnic, Ibadan, for his advanced level, and thereafter moved to the School of Engineering of the University of Lagos. In 1990, he earned a master's degree in business administration from the University of Lagos and subsequently attended Lagos Business School for an executive program. Senator Gbenga Daniel began his professional career as a lecturer in the School of Engineering at the Lagos State Polytechnic during his National Youth Service year. He then proceeded to the Metal Construction West Africa Limited, which he left as the Assistant Commercial Manager. In 1983, he joined the then multinational company HF Schroeder West Africa Limited, Lagos. He rose to the position of Deputy Managing Director at Schroeder, becoming the first African to hold such a position in the company's history. In 1990, he left Schroeder to start Cresta Laurel, an engineering firm specializing in elevators, overhead traveling cranes, and hoists. In 2017, he started KLL Construction Limited to present a new kind of construction company that will stand the test of time. He is also the chairman of Conference Hotels. Senator Daniel is a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, a fellow of the Nigerian Academy of Engineering, and a fellow of the Institute of Directors. Senator Daniel Justus Olubenga was elected governor of Ogun State in the 2003 Ogun State gubernatorial election, running on the platform of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), and was re-elected in 2007. Other political positions he held include Leader Southwest Goodluck Jonathan Campaign 2010, Director General Atiku Abubakar Presidential Campaign Organization 2018, and Head, Media and Publicity Subcommittee of the All Progressives Congress (APC). Senator Daniel Justus Olubenga currently represents Ogun East Senatorial District under the platform of the APC in the 10th Senate. He also serves as the Chairman, Senate Committee on Navy of the 10th Senate. His legislative interests include community development, youth empowerment, health, and education.
It is on that note we come to the end of this episode of Inside the Senate. You can connect with us via our social media platforms showing on your screen to watch these and previous episodes of Inside the Senate. Join me again next week for a fresh edition of the program. Until I come your way again, stay safe.